which is burning to the mouth of an test tube, when it gives a popping sound, that confirms the experiment. It releases an hydrogen gas. Now we'll see what happens when acid is reacted with metal carbonate and metal hydrogen carbonate. Whenever the acid is reacted with metal carbonate or metal hydrogen carbonate, the product remains the same. It forms the salt, water along with the liberation of an carbon dioxide. Whenever the sodium carbonate is reacted with an HCl, it forms NaCl, water along with the liberation of an carbon dioxide. The similar way, when the sodium hydrogen carbonate is also reacted with an acid, even that also forms the NaCl, water and carbon dioxide. In both the cases, the common product is carbon dioxide. The carbon dioxide which is formed, when I pass this carbon dioxide into an lime water, the lime water turns into milky white. That confirms the experiment. There is a liberation of an carbon dioxide. You may have one question. Why only the acid is reacting with sodium carbonate and sodium bicarbonate? Why not the base? You are supposed to note that the base will not react with the sodium carbonate and sodium hydrogen carbonate. Now let us see what happens when acid and the base reacts with each other, right? Whenever the acid as well as the base reacts with each other, they get neutralized. Can I give an example? Whenever one of your family member feeling acidity, they takes an ENO, right? So whenever they're feeling an acidity, the base called as an ENO, when we consume that get neutralized and it forms a salt along with the liberation of an water. The same thing, whenever the acid is reacted with a base, it forms salt along with the liberation of water. Guys, keep this in mind. Whenever the acid is reacted with a base, it forms a salt along with the liberation of some amount of an water. The same thing happens when acid is reacted with a metal oxide, like copper. When it is reacted with a copper oxide, when it is reacted with an HCl, it forms a copper chloride along with the formation of some amount of water. Being the copper oxide or the metal oxide basic in nature, the acid and basic in nature, what is that? Metal oxide. Metal oxide is basic in nature. So acid and the base combine, it forms a salt along with the formation of an water. Now let's see what happens when non-metallic oxide reacts with an base. Keep this in mind. Non-metallic oxide is acidic in nature. Already I told you that when acid and the base reacts, it forms a salt, right? So non-metallic oxide is an acidic. When it is reacted with a base, it forms a salt along with the formation of some amount of water. Let me give an example. When calcium hydroxide is reacted with a carbon dioxide, it forms calcium carbonate and along with the formation of some amount of water. After seeing so many things, we are supposed to know what is the common between acid and the base. Acid and the base both will conduct an electricity. Yes, they both conduct an electricity. Let me tell you how. Whenever the acid is dissolved in water, it produces more amount of hydronium ions that leads to the production of electricity. The same way, whenever the base is added into the water, even that also produces an electricity. Let's see process of dilution. Whenever we add acid or base to the water, it leads to an exothermic reaction. As we know that exothermic reaction is nothing but liberation of enormous amount of energy from a body. The same thing happens whenever the acid or the base is added into the water, right? So there is some precautions to add acid or the base into the water. We never should add acid to the water. We always should add water to the acid. Then only it forms a proper solutions. Can you tell me how strong you are? Can you? I don't know how we are showing, but let me show you how the strong is acid as well as the base, right? If the hydrogen ion is more in any solution, that much the acid is stronger. Whenever the OH minus ions is more in any solution, that much the strength of any base. The strength of an acid is determined by a pH scale. You're supposed to know what is pH. pH is nothing but negative logarithm of an hydrogen ions. right? This pH scale consists of an values from 0 to 14. In that 0 to 7 is an acidic in nature and 7 to 14 is an base and 7 is nothing but neutral. So whenever we have a solution to determine whether it is an acid or the base, suppose if we want to check that, let me take a drop of that and let me add it on the pH scale. Suppose if shows the value less than 7, the given solution is an acidic in nature. Suppose it shows the values more than 7, it indicates that the given solution or the taken solution is an basic in nature. As well as suppose if it's stagnant on the number 7, that clearly indicates it is not an acid, it is not a base, it is an neutral solution. Let's see importance of an pH.